What is going on here?
The Bitcoin bulls are back.
Yeah.
Look, yesterday CME Bitcoin futures, $1.2 billion in volume. A lot of these exchanges are seeing all-time highs in volume, and I think that we've seen the bottom of the bear market.
But why? And who are these people?
Yeah, I think there's two things. So one, definitely institutions are starting to come in. You see Fidelity announcing that they're going to start their custody and trading backed, set the deadline for July. But retail also is coming in, right? And I think what you're seeing is two things. One, it's a very scarce asset. We're about a year out from the halvening, so it's going to get about half as scarce in the monetary schedule.
That sounds really exciting.
Historically, that's been a big moment in terms of it really is a price driver because it reminds people that there's only 21 million of these.
It's just an arbitrary thing, right? Cut it in half in terms of units?
Preset every 4 years, basically the amount that is created every 10 minutes gets cut in half. So right now it's 12.5 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. In May 2020, it'll get cut to 6.25. So if you believe in scarce assets, that's a big moment, and we're about a year out from that. And then the other thing I'd say is I think that the trade war actually has a little bit to do with it, right? This idea that we're watching, essentially a trade war play out on Twitter. You look at a non-sovereign currency, and I think that there's some kind of safe haven.
Flip that around, though. If this trade war gets solved, does Bitcoin go down?
It could, right? I think that the big thing here is if you look at the macro trend, Bitcoin has seen 3 drawdowns over 80% in its lifetime in the last decade, but it is the best performing asset. And one of the corollaries I draw is if you look at Amazon stock, right? So Amazon's drawn down over 90% twice. The intra-year drawdown is over 30% on average, right? So it's a pretty volatile stock in that sense. Bitcoin's done very similar things, but what it continues to do is set new yearly lows, right? So don't look at the highs, look at the lows. And again, it's just supply and demand. If you have a scarce asset and demand increases.
Mr. Wonderful thinks it's worthless.
Well,
he called it garbage this morning.
I want to explore the idea. Yeah, I did say that. I want to explore the idea that there's nothing here except raw speculation. No different than when I go to Las Vegas and put my money on black or red on a roulette wheel, because where is the intrinsic value inherent in deploying real capital, let's talk real money here, and putting it into Bitcoin as a storage of value? I get gold. For 2,000 years, including the Romans, they saw value in owning that as an asset class. Tell me why this, which is basically a digital game, that's the way I look at it, has any intrinsic value. When people actually put real money into this, they make no interest, they can't pay their taxes with it, the regulators don't like it, which is always a problem for compliance. And where's the long-term value? Just this idea that they're going to cut the number of units in half, that's such a scam. Like, that's just totally BS.
So I would say two things. One is it's disruptive technology. So if you look at it from a technology standpoint.
But that also has an odor of BS to it.
Look, everything that's new seems different, right, in the beginning. And I think what you've got to realize is with Bitcoin specifically, money is a belief system. So the U.S. dollar, the only reason why you and I use it is because we believe it has value. So if I give you $1, you give me a good or service in exchange. Right. We believe that it has value. Bitcoin has value because two people who exchange it believe it has that value. And what we're seeing is the volume, right? Look at people using it. That's ultimately what matters.
What about all the other crypto crap? There's lots of other coins.
I believe Bitcoin is the king and is going to stay the king for a very long time.
So I taught a class at Harvard 18 months ago that young people in that class challenged me. I put $100 into something called Coinbase, which is a wallet thing. And
you buy Bitcoin?
I bought them all. I bought all the crypto crap. I put $100 in. It's now worth 30.
30.
That's a 70% loss on my crypto crap. Now, I bought them all. I think that really sucks. And I think people should understand today the hot digital is Bitcoin. Tomorrow it could be whatever, right?
Again, I think that Bitcoin, the reason why Bitcoin is getting so much attention, it's the best performing asset in the last decade. Right, it's drastically outperformed S&P, every other kind of financial asset that's out there. And the second thing is the institutions are coming in because Bitcoin is actually a better store of value. It's more transparent and more secure. So regulators, they actually like Bitcoin in the sense of law enforcement can track criminal activity. Right, every single transaction is done on a public ledger.
I'm not sure the law enforcement loves Bitcoin.
I've interviewed a DA agent who came on, and they would love for criminals to use Bitcoin over U.S. dollars and cash, right? It's much more traceable. And so what law enforcement is saying is they want these digital currencies used, Bitcoin specifically, because of the public nature of the transactions, easier to track the criminal activity.
After the fact?
After the fact, yeah, of course. Well, U.S. dollars, you can't track it before or after.
Last time this had a big run up to 20,000 and people started talking about assets with it, the SEC was handing out subpoenas like birthday cards.
They were doing it for the ICOs. So ICOs are essentially people who took the concept of a blockchain or a cryptocurrency token, and they're using it for fundraising for companies. And so you can imagine if you go out and solicit funds from investors and you do nefarious things, the SEC cares and they want to come talk to you.
That was basically fraud. I mean, you're talking about instances of fraud. And the fact of the matter is Bitcoin has been acting pretty well in respect to the recent bad news hitting the sector. We had a hack of Binance, and then we also have the New York AG bringing charges against Tether and Bitfinex, and the coin has done
Melissa, if it's a real currency,
well.
why can't I pay my taxes with it?
You
why
can.
does the IRS take it?
You can. In the state of Ohio, they accept Bitcoin as for taxes, and there's other states that are working on it now.
Federally, you think it'll ever get there?
For sure.
Wow, you're an optimist.
When?
I'm not in the business of making bets on the federal government's regulatory decisions.
Do we hit the past highs again?
I definitely think that we will, right? Again, it's
what sort of time frame?
Look, that's the hard part. The way that I think to look at this, it's a non-correlated asymmetric return asset. And we've definitely, in my opinion, we've hit the bottom of the bear market. We've now entered into this bull market. Historically, about a year out from that halving period is when that kicks off. It wouldn't surprise me if we enter kind of a 2 to 3 year bull market now. And 20,000, I think, will be a blip on the radar, just like previous past highs were.
Only Bitcoin,
Bitcoin.
No other crypto crap.
I'm not here to talk about anything else but Bitcoin.
It seems you would think that if it's all boats would rise in this tide of crypto.
So for your portfolio, here's the number one thing I can tell you as to why you should own Bitcoin. It's a non-correlated asymmetric return asset that the value drivers of all of your equities, everything else is tied to earnings, GDP, interest rates, et cetera.
The problem is that Bitcoin's not tied to anything.
Well, neither is U.S. dollars, and how big is your cash position?
You know, I look, I love your optimistic view of it. You haven't changed my mind at all. It's still garbage, and I'm not going to take real money and put it into this thing. It's never going to happen. I mean, imagine real money, taking real dollars that I'm making in cash 2.1% on and putting it into crypto crap.
Agree to disagree.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you're crypto crap garbage.
Garbage is better than garbage.
Right.
He keeps saying accoutrement. He's got the
He's got the
French saying.
accoutrements, he's got the garbage.
I think a little colorful language is necessary when discussing Bitcoin. There's no question about it.
Okay, Anthony, thank you.